As many of you may know, the Shep's Omni channel is one of the best channel strip plugins out there. It has such a great variety of equalizers and compressors, good saturation, good filters. It even has a little insert box, so if you have other Waves plugins, you can put it there as well. But as we all know, Waves was recently hit with a bunch of negative criticism, and rightfully so. So I'm going to tell you guys about Adam's Omni-channel. Adam's Omni-channel. And it starts with this plugin from Acoustica Audio, Lava. This allows you to basically record with a bunch of different microphones and then we'll say virtually transform the tone of those microphones or the timbre into other microphones. So for example, let's say I'm using the Shure SM7B. I choose that from here. Now if I don't have the windscreen on, I choose no filter. And then I go over to this and look at all these different microphones I can choose from. They've added to the list since the plugin was released, and I'm going to just keep going down the list so you guys can see every single one of these. For some reason my computer's having issues tonight. I'm not sure what the deal is, but anyway, hopefully this screen capture is okay. But yeah, you can transform your mic into all kinds of neat plugins, expensive microphones. The Neumann list is probably the biggest, rightfully so. And then also, believe it or not, these two SE Electronics microphones are top notch. They are expensive microphones. If you don't know, SE Electronics normally, they're known as the affordable company, but they do have a top tier line. And the RN17 was one that I was not aware of, and this is a beautiful instrument microphone. Yeah. Next up, saturation. And if I had to only choose one, it would be Acoustica Audio's Jam, and that's because you can pick from all these different flavors of saturation all in one plugin. It sounds good. It has a bunch of different options, including this one, which is called Mix Type. And to be honest with you, I don't know enough about it. I just know that, going through this menu, I can, sort things out. One thing I wish that both Jam and Lava had were arrows. Now they added it to later plugins, but I mean, there's just so many options to choose from. Jam, I mean, Lava, I hate going through this menu system every single time. I wish that there should be an arrow, a left arrow and a right arrow. Maybe they'll add it in an update. Anyway, I want to make this video positive. So the runners up for saturation, number 1, Plugin Alliance Black Box HD2. I just love the way that this plugin sounds. I love the way that the real hardware sounds. And I'm happy to say that the plugin sounds pretty darn close to the hardware. I can say that for certainty because I've used the one up on Access Analog. And yes, they are very, very similar. And that's not a knock at the hardware makers. In fact, it's a big compliment to the programmers of this plugin that they were able to achieve that. The second runner-up, True Iron from Kazrog. This plugin just, it's good. It's good subtleness. You can push it if you want, but subtleness is its strength. And I actually use this plugin nowadays more than I use Slate VCC. Speaking of Slate, their virtual tape machines plugin. That's the thing, is that it's kind of a one-trick pony. It's a good trick. No, definitely it offers what I say a rounding of the transients, a little bit of compression, and a slight frequency response deviation. Overall, I really like to put tape plugins on my tracks and mixes when possible. Speaking of which, I also really like the T-Rax, specifically their 80 tape machine, which is a Studer emulation. But really any of the ones in the tape machines collection's good. particularly also the 24 and the 99. The other one I don't use that often, but it's there if I really need a lo-fi sound, which is rare these days. Sad face. Anyway, equalizers are next on the list, and we have, this is a simulation of the Neve 1084. The one that I love personally is from Noisash. It's called the Need 84. And what's great about this plugin is you can choose from all these different slight deviations from the original channel that was modeled. And if you want to, you can randomize it. I personally just like to choose from the drop-down list. But you do that before you start EQing, not afterwards. If you want an alternative to that, the Lindell 80 series is another excellent plugin. I'll probably be reviewing this in an upcoming video. And by the way, right now, Plugin Alliance has a sale. You can buy, I think it's any BrainWorks plugin, and they make a lot of plugins. So any BrainWorks plugin, any 3 plugins, I should say, $50 total. That is an awesome sale. And the reason I say that is I've already, at this point, featured 3 of their plugins. This final one that I highly recommend is the SSL 9000J, officially licensed from Solid State Logic. This is just an excellent equalizer. Just like the Noisash plugin, you can choose from all these different channels. I believe this one goes up to 72 channels, if not more. Yeah, okay, 72. If you want, both channels can be the same. You just click the digital button. I'm sorry, the analog button that changes to digital when you click it. And yeah, just overall, this is an excellent plugin. It also has a compressor built into it, filters. It has, there's something else I'm missing. A saturation, I already said that. Oh yeah, but we'll just say saturation. And you can kind of sort of do de-essing, but I wouldn't use that. And speaking of which, well, wait a minute, I'm not at that point yet. We got to do the runners up for equalizers. I love my EQ plugins, so just having 2 to choose from, not normally enough for me, but again, these are Desert Island plugins, my Omni channel strip, but the runners up, if you have the Cashola, again, from BrainWorks, Plugin Alliance, whatever you want to call them, the Focusrite SC. Now this is another Rupert Neve designed equalizer. Actually, it's more than an equalizer. This is another one where you can have a de-esser in the circuit along with a compressor. I don't normally use those though, but they're not bad. But I normally use this just for the equalizer. The API, I didn't pick it. The API 550B would be my second choice because it has 4 bands of equalization. 2 of them you can transform into either a low shelf or a high shelf, and also the plugin itself has saturation built into it. But the API 550B, if I'm looking at my first real hardware, or I should say professional level hardware equalizer, I'm going to say the 550B may be the one I go with. But another runner-up is the Elysia MusEQ, which is my most recent... I can't speak tonight. And of course I'm doing a live recording and I can't speak properly. The Elysia MusEQ is a piece of hardware that I've used on mixanalog.com for a few years now. And I finally was like, let me try this plugin out. I tried it out. I wasn't 100% sure if I was going to buy it or not. I didn't have enough time to evaluate it. I really should have put it through its paces. But anyway, Plugin Alliance gave a $20 voucher. I believe it was last week or the week before. And you could buy any plugin, including ones that cost under $20. And guess what? The MusEQ was under $20. Anyway, MusEQ, great sounding plugin. It's slightly limited on what it can do compared to, like the Focusrite SC. But overall, it's a great sounding plugin and definitely a great sounding piece of hardware. I prefer the hardware, but the plugin is a good backup to have. The Need 81. So this is a 1081 equalizer. This has more options as far as frequency points are concerned. However, it just has a sharp sound to it that doesn't work on all material. I think that the Neve 1084 can serve on the vast majority of tracks out there. It has like a softer sound to it, a more Neve type of sound. This is actually reminds me more of like an API for some reason, or an SSL kind of equalizer. But nothing wrong with the 1084, 1081. To be honest with you, if I could only choose one equalizer, well, honestly, it would probably be. At that point, it would probably be the Focusrite SC or the SSL 9000J. I wouldn't want to only have one equalizer, though. But anyway, that's the three you can choose from if you want to go the 1081 route. And actually, I think, let me say that correctly. On the Navy equalizer from Acoustical Audio, I believe A is a 2081 and B is a vintage 1081. I might be wrong about that order, but one or the other is the vintage one and the other one is the modern one. I'm not sure how much of a difference there are between the two. I honestly probably prefer the modern one, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I've used Navy, but I think I was normally going with B, the B channel. But I might be wrong about that. But it was whichever the one the modern was, that was the one I would normally go with. It just sounded better to my ears for whatever reason. Okay, next up, the de-esser. Pro DS from FabFilter. By the way, do you guys recognize anything different? Yes, the GUI is bigger. In fact, you can even make it full screen. How cool is that, right? So yeah, Pro DS from FabFilter. If you own this plugin and have not updated it to the newest version, please do so, because yes, you can now change the GUI around. I believe the original version was this big, and now by default, I'm going to keep it at extra large. But if I want to, yeah, I can go full screen. De-essing, essentially what this does is if you hear an annoying, it's called a resonant frequency or resonance, you can knock it down. Now, this one specifically does it for voiceovers and vocals, but you can use it on instruments by choosing the all-around option. But vocals is where this thing specializes, and typically your microphones or your singer will have a specific frequency, usually in the upper mids. Let's say, well, it's already on here, 7 kilohertz to 14 kilohertz, or a kilohertz. I've always been pronouncing it incorrectly. Kilohertz. And Pro DS does an awesome job. Now, I was gonna show Oik Sound Smooth as the runner-up, but since I don't have that plugin and I do have Magic Flow from Studio DMI / Acoustical Audio, this has what's called a dynamic resonance controller built into it, and that takes care of what Soothe does to an extent. Now, if you can't afford either of these plugins, I want to mention another runner-up, and that is Nova from Tokyo Dawn Labs. This plugin can be used for standalone, solid equalization, or you can turn it into a dynamic processor. But yeah, this is the freebie. They do have a paid version as well, but this does de-essing along with other resonance reduction. But out of these two plugins, you'll be good to go. Magic Flow does other things besides resonance reduction, but I would say that this is one of its main features. And moving on, let me disable all these plugins so far and move on to Gate. And really, Gate should have been maybe like after saturation. So let me move it over here. So for gate, honestly, I like to use the built-in one that Reaper has. Now, if your specific DAW does not have a gate plugin, then I would say the multi-band gate from AIX DSP is pretty nice, especially if specifically you're gating drums, because they have a lot of nice presets built into this. One of them is from Glenn Fricker of, oh my goodness, I can't remember the name of his YouTube channel. Oh, that's horrible. Anyway, Glenn Fricker, we all know where he's from. If you remember it, leave a comment in the description. Oh, Spectre Sound Studios, that's it. Anyway, so yeah, built-in presets. It makes the job of gating drums very easy. Drums are usually what you want to gate anyway. Tom drums specifically, and snare, and kick. But yeah, gating. The other one, and I'm going to review this. I've been meaning to review this. Slate Digital released 2 gate plugins. Gate Classic, which is like an all-arounder, and then Gate Drums, which takes care of specifically drums. So I know that these 2 plugins are good. I have not used them personally, but I would recommend them because others have found them to be very, very helpful. And I trust other people. What did I say? Gate. All right, what's next? Compressors. I love me some compressors. On the Shep's Omni channel, they have 3 compressors, so I chose 3 myself. Number 1 would be, what is this, not loading? Oh man, you got to be kidding me. Uh-oh. Slate is giving me problems. They don't ever give me problems. What is going on? I should have never updated this plugin. Gosh darn it. I've never had problems with Slate Digital. License not found, bro. My license is in. Anyway, number 1 compressor, whether it's hardware or software. Oh, there we go. It finally loaded. Is the Distressor, the Empirical Labs EL8 Distressor. Great all-arounder. In fact, I would say that this is going to be my next hardware compressor purchase. I already have an 1176 Revision A clone. I have a RNC really nice compressor, which was, it's a very affordable compressor that still sounds nice. But then the Distressor, I believe, is about $1,300 or $1,400, but it's worth every penny because it just sounds great. But I don't have $1,400 to spend for audio, so the plugin is a good substitute. Now these other 2 plugins, number 1, this is a 1176 Revision A, modern version, the revision, the, what do you call it? The reissue. That was the word I was looking for. The reissue, and then the vintage one. You gotta. This keeps. What is going on with Virtual Mix Rack? This must be a screen capture thing. Anyway, Tiger Mix from Acoustic Audio would be my second choice. And again, it's kind of cheating because you have this huge variety of compressor curves to choose from. I should note, because a lot of people got confused when I originally showed this plugin off, this is not a, ton of compressor plugins built into one, because if you click on any of these, you'll notice that the attack does not change, the release does not change. So, I can choose any of these, and it's basically like taking the characteristic of this plugin, digitalizing it, and then expanding on it. So, it's good in some ways because, I love the ASH mod and the release shaping mod. That's what that means. Attack shaping modulator, or I think it's modulator, or modifier. And then the shape modifier for release. These are like very important controls, but like I love the fact that the 1176 normally it's, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 controls. That's it. Very simple, easy to use compressor, you know, and that's why I say the 1176 revision A or D or G would be my third compressor. Actually, the revision G to me sounds similar to a LA3A, and I love the LA3A, but it just doesn't have enough controls all the time. But usually it's good enough on most sources. But the 1176 revision D is awesome, and specifically the one from Arturia is excellent because they've added this extra bit of controls down here if you want them. You don't have to use all these. You can just have this off and use this like the real hardware, but I really like the extra controls on this plugin. But yeah, Tiger is similar in that way where you have a bunch of extra controls, and so these are all just characteristics of the compressors. They are not like having all these compressor emulations built into one. It's just the clean character of them. So it's missing it, but it's adding to it. Tiger is actually a pretty expensive microphone. I think it's like $150 or $180, something like that, when it's not on sale. But yeah, Tiger is just, woo! I love Tiger. Tiger is what I would, if FG Stress wasn't easy to use, the distressor, I would say Tiger would be my go-to. If I could only choose one, Tiger would be number one. But since I can choose three, that's what I went with. And the runners up for the compressors, oh my goodness. So, like I said, the LA3A, I just love this. By the way, Black Rooster Audio put out a new version of this. So before, the maximum GUI size used to be, I think, this big? Or was it? No, hold on. I think it was this big. Yeah, it was this big. You can actually go even bigger than that now. The problem is the controls drop off the end of the plugin. At least they do in Reaper. So actually, I don't know how I'm going to... Oh, I can right-click. Okay, if you right-click and choose GUI size, you can get it back to being able to see those bottom controls. But I'm going to stick to, I guess, XL? Yeah, XL's good. Okay, second runner-up for compressors is the Stay Level emulation from Arturia. And again, just like the 1176, you can either have these advanced options down here, these advanced settings, or you can just use it like the original, which I believe this is a Gates Stay Level from Retro Instruments emulation. So maybe not the vintage one, or maybe it's a combination of the vintage one and the modern one. Either way, this is like an LA2A, but better. Is kind of how I like to describe it. Yeah, just you got to try it out on your own tracks to understand how good this is. Works great on the mix bus or instrument buses. It's called a Stay Level for a reason. Third runner-up. This is a recent plugin that I purchased. I think this went for $15 or maybe $20. I don't know. Either way, Hornet are very affordable plugins. I compared this to the hardware up on Access Analog. They have an LA2A, like a real LA2A reissue. And I'm telling you guys, this sounds so darn good. So it has become my new go-to LA2A emulation. On the rare occasions that I do use the LA2A, again, I prefer to use the LA3A. But if I'm using the LA2A, then the Hornet one will be my new go-to. I really like the way it sounds. It has gain compensation built into it, so you don't even have to mess with this over here. And yeah, the thing I like is the peak reduction knob is automatically compensated for if you want it to. So you see that? You see how when I changed that, it worked? Anyway, Usually, you have to have audio signal going through this for it to work properly. You don't have to have any of that on if you want. You can, disable it. And but yeah, I like the fact that this is better than the hardware. It sounds like the hardware, but it functions better than the hardware. And the final compressor plugin, if Acoustica Tiger didn't exist, and as of, I think, what was it, November when Tiger came out, or was it January of this year? Either way, before Tiger came out, I actually recommended this plugin multiple times if you didn't have money for the Fab Filter Pro C. That's because Hornet sells this plugin. I believe on sale this cost around $30, maybe cheaper. Anyway, price aside, the multi-comp from Hornet gives you all these options. Look at this. You can have a VCA compressor, which is similar to like an SSL channel compressor or a Neve 33609, a FET style one similar to an 1176, Opto similar to an LA2A or LA3A. The expander is, man, this one, I still gotta wrap my head around what an expander does, because I don't really use them very often. And essentially what they do is, instead of a signal that goes over the threshold being reduced, a signal that drops below a certain threshold is increased. I hope that makes sense. And then we also have, speaking of an SSL channel, the console 4K option, which is an SSL 4000 channel comp emulation. And then finally, the VCA 160 is a DBX 160 compressor that usually sounds great on snare drum, kick, bass guitar, and sometimes vocals. And then finally, I have the final chain. So just the essential plugins. So we got Lava. We have Regate. We have Jam. We have Need 84. We have the SSL 9000J. Pro DS. Oh, they still didn't get rid of the. I don't know why you can't just use the up and down arrow in Pro DS. That's one thing that's always bothered me. But anyway, maybe I'll send in a bug. Virtual Mix Rack, which is the FG the stressor plugin, along with the 1176. And there's another 1176. And then Tiger. But if I'm reducing this down to the essentials, oh boy, this is so hard for me because Tiger is such an awesome plugin. I gotta go with Stress. Because it's just easier to use. I'm more familiar with it. Maybe Tiger will eventually overtake it, but yeah. So this is it. These are the final. What's this? 7 plugins, I think. Yep, final 7 plugins. One more time. And there you go. Thank you all for watching my Omni channel video. Hopefully I didn't say and like and stutter too much, but it is what it is. Gotta get these things out there quicker than I normally can. And the only way to do that is to basically record live, as if you were... What is going on with the... Oh my goodness, this is annoying. Alright, if this is happening once I disable the screen capture, I'll let you guys know. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in.